Well, let's switch over. So since we covered the Submariner, let me show you that this watch. Now that's 16600 right here, which is this Sea Dweller, has been replaced, and it was replaced about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, with this watch. It's called a Deep Sea Dweller, and I have a review of that on one of my other videos. Much bigger. It's gone from a 40mm case to close to a 44mm case. Much thicker sapphire crystal. Basically the same movement. The dial markers are thicker, and the hands seem to be a little bit thicker, so there's more luminescence and it's brighter at night. They modified the bracelet considerably, which is probably one of the biggest innovations in this thing. So it still has a dive extension in it, but you don't have to pull the bracelet apart to have an extension, which is really cool. And then that pops out and you can make it bigger, and then you can adjust the size according to your wrist size along where those teeth fit. So it's pretty cool. Nice watch. So that one, the 16600, this one's called, let's see, 116660. Gets kind of confusing. Basically, they just added a 1 to the front of the model number to designate the newer versions, but this one they modified the whole number and added another 6 and replaced the 0. So that's a Sea Dweller, which has been discontinued. That's the Deep Sea, which is the current model of the Sea Dweller. Now, from what I've been told, this 16610 sub the sub date that we looked at a few minutes ago, has been discontinued also. At least there's no more inventory. Rolex has told its authorized dealers, so they're not selling this watch any longer. And it's going to be replaced with well, the Basel Fair is in a few days. We'll know exactly what it'll be replaced with, but my guess is a ceramic bezel version of this watch with a maxi dial. You say, what's a maxi dial? Well, this has a maxi dial on it, the bigger markers and bigger hands. But this watch was introduced back in the Y serial watches about 7 years ago, and it's basically the 16610 sub, but it has a little designation at the end of it called the LV, which stands for Green Bezel Submariner. Same bands on the watch, same solid end link to connect the watch to the watch head. Same material used throughout, and the difference in the two watches, the most obvious difference, is the color of the bezel insert, green versus black. But the actual dial, this one has a maxi dial. This is the introduction of the maxi dial, which was done on the late Y serial watches. And so the markers are bigger. I don't know if they're any brighter, but they're bigger. And the hands are a little bit thicker. So I don't know if they're going to discontinue this watch or not. This is the one that they said there's no more inventory, and so it's pretty much gone. The Rolex dealers, if they have one, it's left over. This one I've seen around. It's still hard to get, and there's been no real announcement. It's based on this watch, so my guess is if this case goes away, then this case will probably go away also, since they're exactly the same. But we'll see. Rolex will tell us in a few days. This is March 2010. So I guess by the weekend we'll have some idea as to whether this green bezel sub is here to stay or gone forever. Or maybe it'll come along and have some ceramic insert and look a lot like this watch, except for the ceramic insert. Who knows what they'll do. But that's pretty much this lineup. It takes us through a lot, though these are all current watches and all new. But it kind of takes us through a lot of history. You know, this was pretty much the introduction of the no-date sub. And that's what it represents, which was done almost 50 years ago. Then the sub evolved into a date version. I think that was a 200-meter watch in the beginning. Then it went to a 300-meter watch, and then that went to a 300-meter watch, and then that went to a chronometer. And then in there they had the granddaddy, which was the Sea Dweller, which could, go on deeper dives and has a little more rugged case. And then they introduced their anniversary edition, 50th year anniversary edition, about 6 or 7 years ago. And then more recently, they've got into the big watch craze and introduced this monster of a Sea Dweller called a Deep Sea. So that's the Rolex Sport Collection and lineup for today. And as soon as I finish this video, I imagine that some of these watches are going to be obsoleted. Have a great day.